Hi, we begin the next part of Andre Berry's miracle story um, in 1999. But let me say that, for as you have heard in the last part of my videos, um, I was almost in the hospital every year. But guess what? I managed to stay out of the hospital for 6 years, from 1993 to 1999. But what happened in 1999 allowed me to know that I need to turn my life over to God. Um, on January 4th, 1999, I was sick on my birthday, which is January 4th, and I had the flu. Well, what I thought was the flu. But instead of me getting better after antibiotics, I was getting sicker and sicker. Um, what turned out was that I had an open wound on my right side of my body that was infected about the size of a Nerf football. I did not want to go back into the hospital, but I had to go. Um, I I had gone to the hospital, and they said if I had to wait a couple more days, then I wouldn't have made it. But so a day or two later, they operated after I got in. That that I was so scared that at night my mom and I and my other members of family had come in and prayed and prayed and prayed. Um, not only for God's will to be done, but for the infection and things to go well in the surgery. So I made it through the surgery. I was bedridden for about 3 weeks after the surgery. Um, excuse me. So after that, I started getting home health care. So I went into the Shepherd Center, a place here that helps people who are physically challenged, and they know how to deal with wounds of this type that I had. And I had stayed there for 73 days. I was in one hospital for 21 days and another for 73. Um, After coming home for 3 weeks, I had to go back in for 73 days. So I made it through that, but I had to realize something, that I keep making it through all these things for a reason. So I went to see a pastor that married my two members of my family, and he helped me know that he wanted me to start attending Bible study and to attend a church service. And I wanted to find out, God has saved me, keep saving me for a reason. And so I wanted to see what was going on. So here we are at the end of, fast forward the time after coming out on May 26, 99. Now here we are in late November, that during Bible study, I give my life to God. Excuse me. So after all of that, I started attending Bible study regularly. Started to try to speak to others about everything I had overcome, and I wanted to learn more about God, because He had done so much for me, bringing me through all the more challenges. So as I gave my life to God um, on November 23rd, after that following Sunday, um, matter of fact, 2 weeks later, I got baptized. Um, and and that was special to me. I turned on my life to God first, but I was able to be baptized in the Spirit, and I was excited about what God was going to do for me. So the Tuesday after I got baptized, I met my mom's class on a field trip. My mom told me not to come because it was too cold, and I didn't need to. Their temperature was that day was like 30 degrees. But I know I'm hard headed. But I came on anyway. So after coming there, one thing happened there I never thought would happen. Uh, Me working with kids, the kids took on to me, was able to, uh, again, they saw me as a person. They looked to me as just stare at the wheelchair, which does bother me sometimes when you have little kids that stare at me in the wheelchair. But I learned that they're just curious. But my mom had me to meet him on a trip. Well, she wanted me to meet on a trip, but it changed her mind about how cold it was. But I came on anyway. But I went over to my mom's school to volunteer in her class that day because their teachers were having a Christmas party. And little would you know that after two, from December of '99 up until January of '99, the end of January, I would be a volunteer in the school system. And God offered me a paying position within the school just to do what I was doing, which was tutoring and being a mentor and helping teachers out and doing different things around the school, and which was special. You know, uh, it was a ministry that turned into another blessing, and I was like, wow, God, you're doing so much for me. You're doing so much. And I can only just continue to thank Him for that. So that continued on for a while. Um, and so now we fast forward to April of 2001. April 2001. Um, Here I am. I'm getting sick again. I'm like, oh God, no, not again. Um, and I was wondering, like, God, why are you still allowing this to happen, this sickness to happen? You know, I made it through, which I thought was so series of surgeries that I made it through all of that, but now I'm getting sick again from an infection that I had in 1999, which I thought was gone, but instead was dormant. So I go into, which was hard for me. I had to leave working with the kids. That was very hard. Matter of fact, I wanted to go to the schools where the kids sick or not. I was having a fever of above 103. But the night before it's time to go back from spring break, I wound up having to go into the hospital. And like I said, for the infection that I had that was dormant but flared back up. So I'm in the hospital. They determined that I had to have multiple surgeries during a 4 to 7 day stay. I'm in the hospital. But one of those days was an emergency surgery. And the reason being, I'm nearly, and I didn't know because I was just falling asleep, sitting there. But here I am, nearly bleeding to death. And nobody knew it. I was just bleeding out. Nobody knew I had no feeling below the waist because he don't paralyze from the waist down. So I did not know that the open area on my hip is bleeding. So they had to call the doctor in who was in charge of my case then to have an emergency surgery. And guess what? How this all came about? The doctor didn't have nobody to babysit his grandson. So my mom had to wind up babysitting the grandson while they did the surgery. My mom was scared because of what was happening, but with the babysitting the grandson, they had managed to keep her calm while I was in surgery. So they do the surgery, and again, God's bringing me through more and more. I got bags of get well cards from the kids at my mom's school. I mean, about 4 to 5 bags of them, which helped to kind of cheer me up. But I was depressed too a little bit because, although I know God was bringing me through, but yet here I am back in the hospital again. So on the last day of school, that evening I wound up being discharged. Unfortunately, I missed a lot of the kids' graduations. And I will cut this story off and save it for the next part, which will tell you about another dark story of which a suicide attempt will come about. And I will leave that for next time. And I will leave that I will be doing that part of the video on the beginning of next week. Hope everyone has a happy Resurrection Sunday, and goodbye.